Hey guys, and welcome to Xbox On. Now, I have been spending far too much time trying to kill that gigantic annoying turtle in Final Fantasy 15.
So it got us thinking about other bosses that just refuse to die. So let's take a look.
It was only recently that we had to tackle Jack Baker, aka the terrifying murderous hillbilly from Resident Evil 7 that certainly left a lasting impression. He left it not only because of his absolutely insane behaviour or the fact he tried to shove human organs into our mouth, but because he refused to die. We met Jack Baker in an old farmhouse, only to be attacked, abducted, and just generally terrified by this very unstable guy. When the chance was given to get him out of the way permanently, we took it. From shooting him in the head, to a bad car crash, to setting the damn guy on fire, you'd think that would solve our problems. Turns out Jack Baker's not your average human being, and death isn't really something that he does. Cue our second chance to kill him, and this one involves a chainsaw. You can't go wrong with one of those bad boys. After literally smushing his face into a gross porridge-like mess, we felt finally free of his sadistic hold. But that would be naive and silly of us, wouldn't it? The good news is you only have to fight Jack one more time, and he doesn't even resemble the terrifying murderous hillbilly we met at the beginning of the game. The bad news is now he's an absolutely massive mutant who is hell-bent on sending you to a painful grave. Why must the bad news always really outweigh the good news, damn it? Don't worry though, some shots to his pulsating eyeballs should sort it out. I mean, he must be dead after that, right? Of course he isn't. Are you even paying attention to what this list is about? It's okay though. A quick stab with some magical serum should sort him right out. Whew. Who knew after all that the man was just afraid of a little needle? What a wuss. What a terrifying, terrifying wuss. Please don't come back, Jack. Please.
When you think Castlevania and unkillable bosses, you probably think of Dracula coming back for the 100th time. While that's a great call, we're going for the Demon Lord from Mirror of Fate HD, due to the game's clever time-hopping story, following 3 generations of the Belmont family as they tackle the same castle in different time periods. It allows this snarling beast to come back again and again. We first meet him in the prologue doing his best to turn Robert Carlyle into a tasty snack. It's a pretty even fight. The Demon Lord loses an eye and Robert Carlyle gets nailed to a tree, but our hero manages to use his wounds to snare the beast using blood magic. Whatever works. Skip forward several years and Gabriel's son follows in his father's footsteps. Unfortunately, those footsteps lead him to a gang of witches who resurrect the Demon Lord and trigger a frantic trip through the towers of the castle. Yes, it's more of a quick time event than an actual fight, but it's hard to complain when your button pressers chop off his hands and chop him in two. Don't worry, he's not done quite yet. After another jump in time, you discover that someone has tried to patch the Demon Lord back up, giving him robot legs and arms. It's a fight that you can't actually win, but you finally get to have your revenge when you meet in the castle laboratory. After years of seeing this massive jerk come back again and again, you can finally lay the smackdown on him, slurping on his neck and growing a handy pair of demon wings in the process. A lesson to the other bosses in our list: if you're gonna be a huge pain in the ass, at least give us cool wings at the end.
Not so tight, boys. You'll crease the suit.
If we're going to talk about bosses that don't know when to call it a day, then the Joker from Batman has to make the list. The iconic evil comic book clown has long been a menace to Batman, who refuses to die, or, you know, stop being evil so Batman can have a nice little chill. And the games are no exception. In Batman Arkham Asylum, he torments you as he causes havoc with his plan to build an army of Titan-fueled mutants who wouldn't look out of place at a Bane impersonation competition. Finally, Batman has the chance to take the clown down, but the Joker injects himself with the serum that turns you into a gigantic mutant titan beast. Thankfully for the residents of Gotham, Batman is a total badass and manages to take him down with a well-timed punch and a whole load of explosives. That should be the end as the Joker is carted back to prison, but that would just be silly. I mean, why do they even bother locking that guy up? Just seems like a waste of time and money, really. In Arkham City, the Joker's taken a turn for the worst, as the Titan formula he injected himself with is actually killing him off. You'll battle with him, but considering there's 2 Jokers, with one of them being Clayface pretending to be the Joker, it makes for a confusing tale. At the end, the real Joker will succumb to his illness and die. Which is pretty sad, right? Well, yes and no. He may be dead, but that doesn't stop him from taunting Batman in Arkham Knight. You see, the Joker infected Batman in Arkham City, and now he's taunting him and driving him mad. That's right, he's actually dead, and you'll still have to battle him. Loads of him, in fact. If there's anything I'm learning about bosses that won't die, it's that maybe it just gets worse when they do die. Best to leave them alive and well, I think. Much safer that way.
The clue that our next boss isn't going to go down easily is in his name, the Warden Eternal. If you've played Halo 5, you'll be very familiar with this guy, a giant Promethean warrior who turns up again and again to dish out ass whoopings across the game's campaign. To be honest, we were pretty stressed beating him just the first time. He makes the Master Chief look like a shrimp, and if you fail to empty bullets into his very tiny glowing weak point, he'll shrug off pretty much any attack. Having used our team to draw his fire and expose his fragile back, we were pleased with ourselves when he finally folded into his own black hole. The Warden not so eternal, more like. Yeah. Well, we were wrong. Very, very wrong. He came back again. And again. And again. One time, he came back and we had a tank to help fight him. Finally, you think, the tables have turned. But then, 343 Industries punishes you for being smug. They make you fight two of the damn things. Is it crazy that I found it easier to bring down the two Scarabs in Halo 3? Yeah. Survive that and you are given a really special reward, a fight against 3 Warden Eternals. I like a boss fight as much as the next Spartan, but this is ridiculous. Even with your team drawing attention away from you, you are going to be in for one hell of a fight with this guy. And just when you've used every last bullet bringing down these guys, the game makes you think an even bigger fight is coming. Won't spoil how it turns out, but it's nowhere near as painful as it looks. As much as I like the guy, let's maybe keep his appearances down to 10 in the next game. Yeah?
So I know we're being a little cheeky here by including Big Boss, but hey, he's a boss who just refuses to die. He's perfect for the list. Kinda. Anyways, Big Boss is basically where the whole Metal Gear saga first starts off. In Metal Gear Solid 3, which is timeline-wise where the Metal Gear story begins, Big Boss is brought in to take down the boss. That's right, in true Metal Gear Solid style, it's already really confusing and we've only just started. What follows is many situations where Big Boss just refuses to die. He battles enemy after enemy, being blown up, set on fire, and attacked by bees every step of the way. The poor guy is tortured before being blinded by a gunshot. But oh no, that won't stop our big boss. In Ground Zeroes, he's back, again facing all kinds of enemy shootouts. To add insult to injury, the helicopter he's on near explodes, resulting in the loss of his hand. Yep, poor old Big Boss just keeps losing bits of his body along the way. Well, things must line up from a bit in Metal Gear Solid 5, right? Well, of course they don't. He's barely out of his coma before he's battling a man made of fire. What follows is more intense battles with superhuman soldiers that also refuse to die, a keen sniper who's out for your blood, and a battle with a giant killing machine, to name just a few. There are some pretty hefty spoilers when it comes to Metal Gear Solid 5's ending, but let me just say this. No matter what, that guy refuses to go down.
You can't make a list about bosses without featuring Platinum Games in the mix. They've given us some of the hardest bosses, the biggest bosses, and in Bayonetta 1, one of the most immortal bosses. Now, compared to some of her fellow big bads, Jeanne may not look that big or bad, but she is very, very persistent. You fight her 4 times in the game, and in each fight she has more moves than the last. The catch, like Bayonetta herself, Jeanne is also a witch, meaning the two characters have the exact same moves. Just as you master more of the game with each hour you play, Jeanne also gets better and better the more you fight her. So while it's easy to give her a kicking on the church walls where you first fight, the next time you meet, she'll be unleashing the same giant hair monsters that you've been using. It's rarely a fair fight with Jeanne, however. Give her a solid kicking on the wings of a plane and she'll whip out a motorbike. Don't worry, it's easy to dodge and you can dish out some slow motion beatdowns in the process. Of course, Platinum saved the best for last, where the two witches fight in the middle of a missile attack. This fight takes them from building to building where you end up dodging missiles and throwing them back in Jeanne's face. If that wasn't ridiculous enough, the fight then shifts onto the missiles themselves. Someone at Platinum has been drinking too much coffee. You'll have to use every trick at your disposal to whittle down her health bar. We find that whipping out giant fists made of hair tend to do the trick, but when you finally deliver that final punch, you'll feel like a true video game god.
The Metal Gear Solid series is great when it comes to bosses that won't die because it's full of bizarre storylines where one simple death is never enough. Hogan is a good example of this. We first meet him in Metal Gear Solid 3. He's your typical bad guy, big and brutish and set on exploding all kinds of missiles and just generally getting up to no good, the naughty scamp. He's also got some crazy electrical powers on his side, which seems like cheating, but who am I to say? We take him on one-on-one in some personal combat and actually manage to hold our own as Big Boss, but unsurprisingly we don't finish him off and it's a much larger battle where Hogan meets his end. Well, should have met his end. A huge fight takes off with Hogan controlling a big old missile-shooting death machine called the Shagohod. Of course, no one is a match for our Snake, and Hogan is struck down by a lightning bolt which sets him on fire and makes him fall to his knees. A very burnt and crisp ending for a nasty guy. But as I've already spoilt it, it's actually not his ending, and in true, you think it's all over, but really it's not, because his body was taken by scientists and used for experiments where he ultimately became a fire demon thing bent on revenge against Big Boss. Aren't you just so tired of games using that old storyline? Cue Metal Gear Solid 5 and Big Boss has awoken from a pretty long old coma only to come face to face with the man on fire, aka angry revenge-driven Hogan. That man just won't stay down, will he? It's not until later that Hogan realises he's been chasing the wrong man, so the fiery anger leaves his body and he finally dies. Although his body is taken and stored back at the mother base, so you just know he's going to come back to life sooner or later for round 3. Typical.
So there we have it. Let us know in the comments if you've managed to kill any of them yourselves. Also, if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any future content.
And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to smash that like button and check out last week's list show whilst you're at it. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.